We're live, pals. Welcome to the NoDQ review. We are on episode number 96. We're only about a month away now until 100 episodes. Gonna be some fun times ahead. Let me throw it over to the moderator, Virtue. How's it going, my friend?
What's up, Aaron? It's going, man. It's another Thursday evening here in Cleveland, Ohio. I am with the elite panel of NoDQ. Big G is back, finally, after a hiatus. When was the last time you were on a video with all of us? About a month ago?
92 or 93, something like that.
Okay. It wasn't that long ago. So what's up, Big G? How's it going? Big baller G?
Doing pretty good, enjoying this lovely Thursday evening here in Pennsylvania and getting ready for Memorial Day weekend, going up to Gettysburg, doing some camping. But yeah, other than that, doing pretty good.
You're going to be watching some Double or Nothing on Saturday night?
Yes, I am.
Nice.
And
Jeff,
JM, how you doing, brother?
You got more to say, huh?
No, he's trying to throw it to me. He's trying to throw it to me in a creative way, which I admire the hell out of him for that. Have you been to Gettysburg before, BG?
Yes.
Amazing, right? Like,
yes,
you can walk out there and you feel that. You feel that energy from 200 years ago. It's eerie as a mother effer, right? But It's so cool. So cool. It's good to be back. I missed Tuesday. I'm sorry. Life is in the way, as we say. But I'm glad to be back on the panel. Glad Big G's back with us, and it's good to see us all rocking the NoDQ gear and the Greg Cherry gear, because Lord knows we need, as they say, we need fuck money. So there you go. Throw it out there, kids.
There you go. Beep. Aaron Riff, what's going on, man?
Jeff, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to get this video demonetized already?
This show ain't made for kids. Come on now.
Well, that's true. Now, I screwed up already. We're 5 minutes in and I already screwed up. I messed up the usernames. Big G, is it NoDQ_Big G for your Twitter account?
Yes.
Okay, I'm good then. Everybody's good. So
I thought he changed it to Big Baller G.
Yeah, Big Baller G, yeah.
Wait, you changed it?
No, you changed it, didn't you?
The Twitter
We're
handle.
live, pal.
I'm talking about the Twitter handle, not the NoDQ URL.
Oh, no, yeah, it's NoDQ_Big Baller G.
Wait a minute. Okay, NoDQ_Big Baller G?
Yes.
I'm checking. Let me check.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Okay, I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing stupendous. I'm doing so well. I'm excited. I'm jacked up. I'm ready to talk about wrestling.
This adds character to the show.
NoDQ, Big Baller G. There you go.
Because we know the NoDQ Galaxy's sitting in there. They know we're about to get rolling here, and we're just basically making them wait a couple extra seconds. So I'm going to get going, Aaron, here as we fix this. Let's get this out of the way. Tragedy struck this week. And I was like, when I read the news, I was like, I had to look again. I'm like, wait, what just happened? Shad Gaspard was swimming in the ocean out in California, right, Venice Beach. And there was distress, currents. I'm not a big ocean guy, right? I live by the lake. I go to pools. So I don't know how these ocean currents are. But something happened, and there was distress. And when help came, instead of calling for help for himself, I think he wanted to make sure they got his son, because his son was in there. And next thing you know, Shad Gaspard goes missing. And when you're in the ocean like that, that's not good news, people. And immediately I'm sitting there. I'm one of those always thinks the worst. And unfortunately, as time went on, that's exactly what happened. So I want to go around the horn here. He passed away. He drowned. Aaron Rift, go ahead.
Okay, so before we get to Shad, let's get to these super chats real quick so we don't get too far behind. The Cleaver, Colin Andrew, with a $5 super chat says, good to see Big G back. Big Baller G back in the house. Thank you for being on, Big G. And Sam, not sure how to pronounce his last name, Piboon, with a $5 super chat says, did anyone watch The Dark Side of the Ring about Owen Hart? Yeah, we could talk about that here in a few minutes, talk about Owen Hart. It's been a bit of a depressing week between the Owen Hart, Dark Side of the Ring, and the news about Shad Gaspard. It's been rough. It's been sad. Like I've said on my streams, very tragic about him. And I feel bad that he did not get a bigger run in WWE. The guy just seems to be such a likable personality. And Crime Time had potential to go far, but they fizzled out after a couple of years, and then they had that feud, which did not really result in either guy getting a significant push. That was unfortunate, but I feel like Shad
didn't they break them up late in their WWE tenure and tried to push them as singles, or at least Shad?
Yeah,
it just didn't work out.
Just didn't work. Ken Terminated by Google sent in a $5.40 super chat. Thank you, Ken. He says, I know Jeff Meacham is a dad, so I'm sure he can agree with me. If there's anyone who should get the next Warrior Award, it's Shad Gaspard. Well, let's throw it over to Jeff and get Jeff's thoughts on that. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, from what I have been made to understand, the Warrior Award is designed for people in the, peripheral WWE community who have gone above and beyond and shown to be heroes of their community or heroes in their own lives or whatever. And, the guy, I said it on Twitter, he made the ultimate sacrifice. He saved his son at the expense of his own life. And I think if you have to go out early, there's no more honorable way to go out early than that, right? Yeah. So, I would think that if the Warrior Award is designated as such, then you definitely give that to him in 2021. As far as the overall feelings, again, I'm a local boy. Aaron and I grew up out here. We were at Venice Beach many times. We did XMV on Venice Beach, as a matter of fact. A couple of times. We actually did Talk Wrestling with Rob Van Dam at Venice Beach. So we're very familiar with how crazy the waters are in the Pacific Ocean out here in Southern California. And it's very easy to get out there just far enough where you think you're good and you're not. So it's a horrible thing that happened, and it shows exactly why I don't swim in the ocean, because Shad knew how to swim and he's still gone. I don't know how to swim. I'm not touching that shit. I'm not. So I am devastated by this. I wish I had, had the foresight to go to a show recently where he was out here in a local and get a picture, autograph, something, because I met JTG a few times. And Shad seemed like a really cool dude, and like you said, Aaron, just did not get that moment that we all thought he would as a big man with charisma and potential. It's unfortunately when a tag team breaks up, one or both of them, flounder, and unfortunately both those guys floundered very quickly. So,
Big G, what do you think on the whole situation? Obviously, we know it's depressing. You want to add anything?
I mean, like we all talked about it already on Twitter, on social media and whatnot. But yeah, it's just sad, that he lost his life that way. But he, like we all said, he made the ultimate sacrifice for his son, for his 10-year-old son. And yesterday I was on YouTube watching old clips of Crime Time with DX and John Cena and stuff like that. So you have the good and the bad. You can go back and watch those moments. And then you had that one match between Shad and JTG when they broke up, that Four Corners match or whatever at that one pay-per-view. So, it's sad, and we're all going to miss him, even though we didn't know him personally, but,
Yeah.
Aaron, you know what sticks out? Like, remember, I was all against Kofi's reign, but you know what sticks out is when they showed, on the internet, it circulated with MVP, and I think Shad was in that video.
Yeah.
When Kofi won. That to me was like one of the highlights of that night.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That was a really heartwarming clip. Go ahead, Big G.
Yeah. No, I was on JTG's Twitter, scrolling through that, and that video he posted with "I'll be missing you." That hit right there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they had some really funny segments. I love that SummerSlam 2007 backstage segment where you had William Regal there, and Regal started dancing around with Crime Time, and Vince was very unamused by everything that was happening. So yeah, they had some fun moments in the company, although I will say I was never a fan of the JBL as Poopy, and I do remember Crime Time being there with Cena for that. That was symbolically, that was like the beginning of the PG era when Cena did that with the JBL was Poopy, and then like a month later, WWE officially announced that the company was going PG. Crime Time worked best before the PG transition. I think they worked better when they were able to push the envelope, and I think after WWE went PG, I think that hurt their act a little bit because they had to tone it down a bit, and wasn't quite as edgy as it was before.
Any other super chats, Aaron, before we move on? I mean, it sucks, Every now and again, we got to talk about something tragic like this that happens, and a wrestler passes away. I mean, it's...
Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says, why break up Crime Time only to later fire Shad? I mean, that's a great question. It's the scenario where all these different people are coming in, and I think around the time Shad got released was when Nexus came onto the scene. So WWE had a new crop of guys that they were pushing, and unfortunately, because JTG and Shad's singles runs did not pan out, Shad was the first one to go, I believe, and JTG stuck around a bit later, June 2014, actually, which I forgot that he was around that long after Shad was released.
I think he was on like Main Event Superstars doing
right, because I knew he was well after that, because I met JTG twice during the summer of 11, because he was at the infamous Pipe Bomb Raw where NoDQ died for a second, and then when we were at he was at SummerSlam Access, I was at that year too, so he was around for a while.
It just seems like Crime Time was on TV not too long ago, and it's been that long. Like that's what's crazy. You think about that, it's like, whoa,
10 years.
So many wrestlers come and go. Speaking about so many wrestlers coming and going, like Drew Gulak, he was a wrestling fan favorite because of his in-ring work. He was in the cruiserweight division. That's where he was, most known for. Jeff, he had that stint with Enzo. But even after that, he was still that sound technical wrestler, worked some matches with Bryan. Contract expired. We talked about it on the preview and prediction show for Double or Nothing. He could show up this weekend. There's also, I guess, Aaron, been rumors that maybe his agent's trying to get him back into WWE, and it's a money issue. We don't know. But Gulak's gone. All the cuts they've had in the past week since the pandemic. Any thoughts? Is AEW the place? Should he go back to WWE if they can work out a deal? Yes, Aaron.
Now, real quick, Adrian sent in a $2 super chat. Says the Street Profits were a bootleg version, or are a bootleg version of Crime Time.
Yeah, why not?
I think it's a little bit of generalization, honestly. I think they're a different act, but okay.
Well, yeah, they're like a bad Saturday Night Live act, and Crime Time was never that.
Yeah.
No.
Street Profits
no.
Like that. But
no,
Aaron,
if anything, the Street Profits are a horrible B-rate version of Weekend Update, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was looking
for. Well, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, is Montez Ford overrated as a superstar?
Yes.
Ooh. Well,
yes.
Here's the thing, to use your line,
Sorry,
Jeff.
Drew Gulak. I tried to bring you into discussion. Go ahead.
I know, but we're
still... Go ahead. We'll get to him.
I do not have a problem with the Street Profits. Like, I think there's potential with them, and I think Ford is a really great athlete. I just think that their humor, it misses more times than it hits, and maybe I just don't understand their humor. I know some people throw that out there, but I like the guy, and I think he has potential, but I think they gotta try something different with the comedy. Just my own personal take on it.
I'm not saying he's not good. I answered the question. I think he's overrated. He's not. He's good. He's just not great.
Anyways, let's shift gears here and talk about Drew Gulak. We talked about this when we did our AEW Double or Nothing predictions. The idea of Drew possibly being the 9th man in the ladder match. Big G, I'll ask you. Would you like to see Drew show up in AEW, or do you think that him and WWE should work things out? What do you think's going to happen?
I mean, it'd be nice to see him in AEW. He could potentially do what he wants to do in AEW rather than be in WWE. But if he goes back to WWE, I say he should just go back down to NXT and team up with Timothy Thatcher, because aren't they like tag team partners at one point? So
yeah,
that's
what I can understand.
And he's a good wrestler, so if they need to have his skills rub off on younger people that don't, perfect. He's down there already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, he wants a raise. If that's what the report is,
that's
if
true.
That's accurate, he wants more money, and he's not going to get that working in NXT. Now, Rob Klein sent in a $2 super chat saying, "Hey guys, good show. Robbie Vice for life." Shout out to you, Robbie Weiss. Thank you for being part of the chat room, and thank you all for being part of this with us, talking about Drew Gulak and everything else we got going on here. Jeff, what are your thoughts on Gulak? Where do you see him ending up?
Well, you made a very good point that I hadn't considered when I was going to make my answer. Originally, I was going to say he should go back to NXT and he should team with Timmy Thatcher because they are former Championship Wrestling Hollywood Heritage Tag Team champions. So they're a great team. But if he wants more money, the money is not in the black and gold brand. It ain't going to be there. So the money, if he wants that money raised, I'm sure Tony Khan would be more than happy to throw that out there at him and bring him into the fold because he's got talent. He's got that charisma that still has yet to be tapped. I'll be frankly honest. There's still a lot of meat on that bone before all is said and done. I think, if he's not the ninth man, which I don't think he is, by the way, I feel that he'll have a place in AEW, even if it's a hell of a hand type spot. He'll still do a lot better off than trying to gauge, blood out of that WWE turnip.
Now, Virtue, I want to ask you something here. First of all, let me get to this $2 super chat. We actually have two more super chats here. One from Psycho, thank you. Says Drew Gulak.
I like that,
Drulak. Maybe that could be his name in AEW. Drulak. He says Drew Gulak has more charisma than the Forgotten Sons.
That's a true statement.
Maybe.
This is a true statement.
Dude, I was sold on Gulak with the PowerPoint presentation. He's a great wrestler.
That was what I was going to ask you.
What I mean?
I was going to ask you about the whole Enzo era. Like, to me, that was the period where I thought he had some real potential. Now, before I get your response, Ken Terminated by Google sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. He says, first of all, is Drew Gulak, is the name trademarked by WWE? And two, do you think he will be a solid hand like Sean Spears or a modern-day Jim Powers? All right, Virtue, so what do you think about the whole era with Gulak and Enzo? To me, that was his peak. And then what are your thoughts on what Ken just said?
If Enzo didn't have all the backstage heat and didn't hang out with people he shouldn't have and didn't have all those issues, I know he's not a great worker, but they put the Cruiserweight title on him as a heel. Nobody wanted to see Enzo, right, the non-worker, just the mouth, be in that spot. Gulak could have been so made, being his sidekick, having to put up with all that, and then he snaps and is the one that ultimately ended Enzo's run. I wanted that so bad. My buddy Dirty Dave wanted that so bad, and Enzo got fired. And that's really disappointing to me. I mean, Gulak might even get his money, might have got his money if that happened, because that was a big deal. Yeah. But he got derailed, and WWE forgets things when something like that happens.
Now, Gulak, that's his actual real name, so he could go to him. He could go to Impact or AEW as Drew Gulak. So no need for the Drulak moniker. He could just be good old Drew Gulak.
So we'll have to see what happens, but I hope wherever he goes, he's used prominently. And he's got TV time left on him. He doesn't need to be a trainer yet. He's going to have plenty of time to do the behind-the-scenes stuff. So, Jeff, yes.
I was going to say, Ken, at the comparison to Sean Spears and then Jim Powers, the era of the Jim Powers-like people is long over, okay? You're not going to have a guy who is contracted long-term like that and be the jobber to the stars. Either you're working or you're not. And, you've got guys at NXT that are jobbing to a cross right now, and that's one thing. Those are kids in the system cutting their teeth, right? You're not going to have a guy like Jim Powers did or Barry Horowitz did who wrestled in the WWF for 10 years and, had 4 wins. That era is over. If Gulak doesn't indeed sign with AEW, he's going to be the hell of a hand Sean Spears spot or better.
Well, we'll move on. Big G, I'm going to come to you with this topic. Kevin Owens is back. He was at WrestleMania, beat Seth Rollins, was banged up, took some time off, coronavirus, who knows, but he's back. And, of course, they bring him on Raw. And when Owens always gets momentum. This goes back to when he was the U.S. champ. And remember how he'd walk around his face, came out in the suit. When there was something really good with Owens. The Festival of Friendship, everything that led up to that with Jericho is the one exception where they gave it some longevity. But I feel like they just pull back. I don't know what it is. So he comes back, and I know it's been several weeks, over a month since WrestleMania, and he comes out to Raw and he's mixing it up with Zelina Vega's crew, which is the reason why I say her name, because that's the only one that pops from her crew. her because she's like taking all the attention from the wrestling. So what's your thoughts on KO? And should he be a bigger deal? I think he should be. Like, he should be like pushed hard and heavy. I don't know if a baby face or a heel. He kind of has went both, but probably better heel. But like, take it away, man. Like, hey, I feel like they give him no respect.
Well,
like not the respect that he should get.
Yeah. Well, I think
he debuted against John Cena.
Yeah. Like when he first came on Raw, he was still in NXT. He was the NXT champ, and then he became the Universal champ. But the thing is, people even cheered for him when he was a heel, especially when his music hit, man, they just popped for him. So now he's a face, and it looks like he's getting put into the U.S. title, and maybe he can bring some kind of prestige back to it because with Andrade, it's just, I don't know what it is with Andrade.
He had that run as a U.S. champ, remember? And he come out in the suit, and he wouldn't walk on his face. Like, again, they give you something that I think is cool, and then they always take it away. Yeah. Thank God for the run with Jericho, because that lasted pretty good. But look at how that fizzled out at Mania.
Yeah.
Like, what a payoff. Not their fault. Not their fault. Booking's fault. But that should have been a bigger deal.
And if they do eventually turn him back to a heel, he can face McIntyre for the WWE title and get pushed back into the main event. And like we had mentioned before, if he didn't get hurt, he should have been thrown into that mix with Seth Rollins as well, because he had that feud with Seth Rollins. So
exactly. I mean, we're gonna have to see how it plays out. Maybe because of the pandemic and no crowd, they're just really milking this TV each week. So, Aaron, what's your thoughts here on a returning Kevin Owens?
A number of people in the chat room have brought up the idea of him going for the U.S. title. I like that idea. I understand why he's not going for the WWE title because he's a babyface and so is Drew McIntyre. But that would seem to be a logical match for Owens since he did beat Seth Rollins. Where's his opportunity at the WWE title? And you would think KO's character would want that title match. He would be like, hey, Seth Rollins got the title match. Why am I not getting one? So
did he ever get the rematch for the Universal title? I don't think he ever got it.
Maybe he did. Who knows? It's hard to keep track of all this stuff. And Curtis Butler said, what about moving KO to SmackDown and going against the Fiend? He says, I know, bad fantasy booking. And Adrian sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Adrian. Says, KO is this generation's version of the Big Show with all the turns. I thought that was... who's the other person that's been turning a lot on TV lately? No, I forgot already.
So many.
I know, right? Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, did Goldberg ruin KO's momentum in 2017? Don't even get us started on that one. Jeff, what do you think about KO possibly going back to SmackDown? What are your thoughts?
Well, before I get into that, I want to touch on what something Bert you said about Selena Vega's crew and the fact that she pops more than the guys in the group. You are so right, dude. Like, isn't the point of the manager supposed to be accentuate the main dish, like be the parsley? Yeah. Like, no, dude, she's the main dish.
I think of her every time they all come out like her. Yeah. I mean, yes, she's an attractive woman, but like,
she's gorgeous. and I love Thea. I love her to be. She's a wonderful girl, but Andrade's the U.S. fucking champion. Like, why? Sorry, Aaron. Sorry, the U.S. champion. Why is he not a focal point? Why is a guy like Austin Theory not getting more, than a beatdown at the end of whatever program this was? And why is I can't think of the guy's name. Isn't that awful? Garza. Garza's got so much more talent than what they're letting him do. It's stupid. Yeah. He's just wannabe Lothario. But no, everybody's focused on Zelina. Stupid booking, as we say on NoDQ. Stupid. As far as Kevin, I don't know about going against the Fiend, but I would not mind seeing him going after a championship, be it the Intercontinental, be it, whatever, when the tournament ends, because I think that both the world champions need to have definitive long reigns, and I honestly want to see Kevin be a world champion down the line, because his Universal Championship reign was screwed up royally.
Yeah, and Jericho said it best. That should have been the Universal title match for WrestleMania, the breakup of the Festival of Friendships, but then the whole Goldberg thing had to happen, and that's Vince McMahon being Vince McMahon, and that's why Jericho's in AEW.
And exactly, and you know what, I almost understand where Vince is coming from, but sit here, the four of us, we can all agree.
Goldberg.
No, hang on. The Goldberg-Lesnar resolution did not need the title. It didn't.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar could have won the title at SummerSlam and been fine.
Yeah.
So, hot-shotting the booking with Goldberg more than once now, the Universal title has killed the previous champion's momentum.
Now, and they did the same thing with Goldberg and Fiend. Like, all right, if you want to push the name of Goldberg from, the past and his, marketability, at least make sure Goldberg can go and wrestle. He can't wrestle. He gets blown up. His matches are crap. Like, if it was like somebody like Lesnar, at least can go when he needs to go. He's worked the smaller guys. He makes them look like $1 million and vice versa. But Goldberg, none of the above.
And by the way,
you see that?
I cannot wait till the chapter of Last Ride where they talk about the Goldberg match, because I'm waiting for Mark to tear him to shreds.
Well, I'm really curious about that, because Undertaker talked about how he's not wrestling for the money, right? He's doing it out of passion.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with him coming back to face Goldberg? Why would he do that? Especially when he knew the WrestleMania 33 match was crap, and that's with a guy who was in great ring shape, somebody who was working a full-time schedule. So why would he do a match with Goldberg if it wasn't for the money?
I guarantee that was a Vince going, please do this.
Yeah, probably.
And we've all seen just in the last 2 weeks alone on this series, but over the course of 30 years total, how loyal the Undertaker is to Vince McMahon. And if Vince McMahon is going, dude, this Saudi show is going to sink, I need your help, Undertaker's throwing that black gear on, throwing that makeup on, and going over there. And yeah, he almost got killed because of it. So I can't wait to see
something, Jeff.
See what he says.
With the recent documentaries, my take on documentaries. I'm just getting very frustrated with them.
Right.
Do you believe you'd ever see Undertaker breaking the fourth wall like this? Like, of all people, like,
it's so funny.
It's weird to me, like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does he want to get in podcasting? You think maybe?
It's so funny that you bring it up in particular to me, because I've been sitting here the last couple of weeks watching it, and part of me is like you. It's like, no, the horrible kayfabe loss is just irritating the living bejeebus out of me. And part of me is going, this is exactly why the network was created, right here. Because stuff we've never expected to see, stuff we never expected to hear, this is what I want to see. And as horrible as it is, you guys are all in the room with me, or at least close to the room, when I decided after 33 that I was done myself. Because when he took that gear off and left it behind, I'm like, you know what? My fandom got left behind. I'm over it. I'm good. Goodbye. The last 3 years, I felt like there was something that wasn't being told, that wasn't being said, that wasn't being out there. And now we're getting that. And this documentary is so compelling and fascinating to me. I hate they're breaking it up week to week. I hate this 7 days of waiting. It's driving me nuts. So,
Aaron, any super chats before we move on? Thank you, Jeff. I had to ask you that.
I appreciate it.
Curtis Butler said Jeff is 100% correct.
I want to video capture whatever he says about Goldberg and put it on my timeline for all time. I do. I can't wait.
Oh, and Psycho Jet Black did send in a $2 super chat. He says AJ could have won the Boneyard match if he had a cucumber.
What?
Well, apparently Undertaker said something about not liking cucumbers on the documentary.
That, you know what? That random super chat is just everything. Thank you so much, Jet Black. That was awesome. I don't even know what the hell that means, but I love you for it. Okay.
All right. We'll bounce any other ones. We'll bounce around to the next topic here. Aaron, you kind of touched on this with Drew McIntyre. You kind of said this before, that he's probably going to get fed a bunch of different guys and get a lot of title wins here, especially during the pandemic. Who's up next? Bobby Lashley. I know we kind of talked about Jinder Mahal or anybody that they could throw against him where he could it could look menacing, but Drew was going to win. So here we are, Bobby Lashley versus McIntyre. Not excited about it, but are they going to continue to feed him, you think, all summer? Feed him big guys that he can take down. What do you think, Aaron?
I think Lashley will lose to Drew McIntyre at Backlash. I do not see a title change. I think MVP is a good match with Lashley. I think they work well together. I like MVP doing the managing. So that's a positive. And I like this storyline with Lana. And there's a way out so Lashley doesn't look bad. You can have Lana coming out during that match. That's a match where you can have the shenanigans, have Lana out there with MVP. There's a miscommunication, and you can further that storyline, and Lashley takes the loss without looking too bad against Drew McIntyre. But no, I do not expect the title change, and this is fine. Like I said, I think it's a good idea to feed these guys to Drew and let Lashley get a title opportunity. Why not? I have no real issue with it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Big G, what do you think? Is Drew growing on you? I know it sucks for him that his moment was during a pandemic with no fans, because at least he was starting to get a pop. The Claymore countdown, people were getting into it, and it just sucks without people there. So what do you think with this whole thing? And, of course, Lashley. I mean, is it good during a pandemic to get this out of the way?
It is, but it's decent. You know, I mean, I've liked McIntyre for pretty much since he showed up back in 2009. And didn't Lashley and Drew have a kind of a feud back in Impact Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken? So, I mean, so it's been a while since we've seen these two in a match together. We've seen them, the past couple, was it last year when they were teaming up with Corbin and they were that little faction beating everybody up? So, you know, I'm fine with it. You know, like we all said, Lashley's probably going to lose, most likely lose. And Aaron, I liked his idea, continuing the feud with Lana down the road. And yeah, I think McIntyre will be champ, you know, throughout the summer, possibly up until, you know, whenever we get crowds
Brock
back.
Lesnar returns?
Yeah.
Probably. God
had to say it.
Yeah. So it would be nice that if, you know, if that feud did continue with Lesnar, that McIntyre would beat him again, and then Lesnar would say, all right, I'm done. But we know that's not going to happen. Lesnar's going to die in the ring.
Colin Andrew wants to know, what has Lashley done to be in the title picture? LOL. Jeff, what has Lashley done to get this title opportunity?
Nothing.
You made a point, I think yourself, Aaron, or maybe Virtue. I forget which one of you said it now. Drew is the babyface machine. He's the guy that the heels are going to be fed to devour, like Hogan was. You know, Lashley's by sheer appearance alone, he's a monster heel. So feed it to the machine, just like Lesnar, just like the Big Show, just like anybody they're going to throw at him now. So I honestly have no problem with Lashley being booked in the WWE Championship match. I have a problem with that he's been booked like a goof for the last year. That is a huge hindrance to his career. And, you know, if you take 2007 Bobby Lashley and keep that character intact in 2020, I've got no beef about it. But the fact is, this Lana thing, stupid. It's stupid. And I appreciate the chat room going, you know, we can't reference TNA because the BDC or whatever. I think it's actually a subtle little, you know, we know you guys saw this already once, but it's a new dynamic because it's for the E, and you know these guys are still doing very well. MVP can still talk a streak, you know. Yeah. Lashley's still good when they let him be good, and Drew McIntyre is, you know, I don't think he's still reached his prime. Honest to God, Drew McIntyre has been good forever, and I think it's going to be a better match than we're all thinking it's going to be. And I think that the Lana thing will give Bobby Lashley the out, and we'll see how it plays out. But I'm actually looking forward to it.
So stay tuned, NoDQ Galaxy. Let's move on to this. We're going to talk about New Day, right? We always talk about them winning tag titles. Will they ever break up? And I get Big E's recent point. Like, they probably don't want to break up because together they get pushes. You know, I mean, even if it's not main event. I mean, Kofi still got to the main event. They're always a tag team champion. It seems like they're always on TV, so they're getting good pay as a group. And let's face it. When Vince McMahon wanted to debut this group, it flopped the first month. And then they did the whole let's turn them heel. They got over. And think about it. A lot of times when you break teams up, one guy might, like Shawn Michaels, make something out of it, Bret Hart, but then what happens to the others, right? They need that tag team to stay relevant. So it might be a good idea for the New Day to stay together for each one of their own, you know, purposes to get paid the most because, well, all three of them make it singles. Big E has potential. But here's my thing. I think they have a lot of money on the table. You know how they always like to go back to the well, Jeff, and do something similar to something in the past? They have a Rockers type situation here that they could really make a big star out of this group and some drama for TV. I remember they did that little skit online around the time Kofi got the big push, and they kind of reenacted the barbershop thing. I'm not saying they have to do that, but I still think that this would be something cool. If Xavier Woods is the hacker, maybe this could start it. But because it's been a successful run from something that Vince McMahon envisioned, they may never break up because Vince these guys got over, damn it. So, Jeff, what do you think here on the New Day? When we hear breakup rumors, ever going to happen or never going to happen?
Well, I liken it to this one little moment in time. Think about when Kofi pinned Bryan at WrestleMania last year, right?
I was there.
Oh, I know you were there. So you probably understand this better than any of us because you were in the moment live, right? Is that moment nearly as special if Woods and E don't go to ringside and grab the real belt and present it to Kofi and hoist him up? Is that moment as special without the two of them and Woods blubbering like a 2-year-old? No, it's not. Not even close. Yeah, his kids are there. That's great. Yeah, the fans are like, yeah, we finally got organically somebody over again after Bryan. It's wonderful. But without Woods and E being that support system, being the Robin and Batgirl to Batman, there is no Kofi moment at Kofi Mania. It's just not there. Based on that alone, they will never break up because without that moment, Kofi Kingston's career is not ultimately defined and put on that upper echelon pedestal. So without the New Day, there is no ultimate Kofi Kingston moment. So, and like you said, Vince is like, I did that. That was my creation.
What year did they start that group? I mean, it's been a long time.
It was sometime I think after SummerSlam 14 because I remember being at SummerSlam with Aaron and Ryan in the suite and watching the Lesnar destroy John. I think it was
5 years of
it was not too long after that the New Day started the germ, if you will. So I think that they are, like you said, Virtue, they're an act that Vince created, put it out there, realized it wasn't working, pulled it back, turned them heel, and went, oh, look what I did. He will never.
Isn't that amazing how the heel stuff always gets him over when the babyface flops early?
It's so funny because because he and his dad both were so babyface centric for so many years. And in the last 20, do the math. How many heel champions have been over compared to the babyface champions? It's not even close.
Big G, you look bored over there. Listening to all this.
I talk too much. I'm sorry. I know.
I like listening to you guys. You guys are
good.
The
New Day. I think Big E, right? You're Big G, so I'm going to talk about Big E. I really would have liked, especially with 2 brands and 2 title belts, I would have really liked to see him push to a top. And being in a group like this, of course, Kofi had the Kofi Mania, but it'll make it almost impossible. I mean, could they push Kofi again or a Big E as a champion if they still stay together? What's your take here on this New Day? Always a rumor out there.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the New Day and stuff like that, but this whole shtick, them being baby faces, they've been baby faces, for the past 3 years now, 4 years?
4.
I think they should, I would like them to go back to being heels, but I don't think Vince is going to do that because he knows they go over more as baby faces and they sell more merch that way. I would like to see Big E have a title run like Kofi did. I don't think Xavier would ever get to that point. For Xavier, I could see maybe the IC title or the US title, but I think the biggest star out of all 3 of them, even though Kofi had his WWE title run, I think it's still Big E. He has the most potential. He has the charisma. He can talk. He can wrestle. He can do it in the ring. He has all 3. I mean, don't get me wrong. The others can do it as well, but I think Big E has the most potential out of all 3 of them. And I don't think the New Day is ever going to break up.
I'd like to see
that's going to happen is if one of their contracts come up and one of them decides not to resign. So
I'd like to see a Big E win a Rumble. Somebody like that, right?
I would too.
Aaron, what do you think?
I think they're not going to break up. I think they're going to be the one team that does not break up. And Big E made a good point during his recent interview, which I'll get to here in a second. Adrian sent in a $2 super chat, says, New Day will be together forever. Mwahahaha. Yeah, I feel like they're going to be the one team that never breaks up. And Big E mentioned that previous teams, with the exception of the Shield, they all did worse when they were split up. Like, if we knew WWE would book all three guys strongly and give them pushes, then yeah, that might be a good idea. But I think it just goes to show that there's not much confidence in WWE doing something with all three guys. Like, all three of them will more than likely get lost in the shuffle. You know, we mentioned Crime Time earlier. They were better as a team. When they split up, they kind of fizzled out and didn't go anywhere. And New Day, I could see them initially getting some kind of push, but I mean, they have that chemistry together, and they've been together so long at this point. They might as well stay together and be the greatest tag team of all time, which is probably what Vince wants out of them. He wants to market them as the best team ever.
The New Day rocks. All right, hey, Big G, we'll go some NXT here. I've been AEW faithful during these Wednesday Night Wars for the most part because of certain talent in AEW. But there's certain people I like in NXT. I haven't got pulled into any of the feuds, but instantly, Ciampa and Cross, pulling me in. Just watching that. I actually watched that segment, watched that stuff last night, flipped over. Right, I wanted to get in the habit of flipping over during the Wednesday Night Wars. Haven't really done it. This made me do it.
Yeah.
They're this and the whole in your house thing coming up, like we talked about, takeover. Aaron and I, you have to have the TV set or the house set. I hope, give it that old school '90s, mid '90s feel. But man, this could be good. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'm liking this feud between Ciampa and Cross. You know. They're kind of similar in a way, but it'll be interesting to see if Cross is going to get his first victory over a big star, because all he's been doing right now is pretty much squash matches. So, but yeah, this really caught my eye. Lately, I've been watching both simultaneously. I'll have AEW on the TV, and I'll be watching NXT through my phone. And so I'm going back and forth with my head trying to, what's going to catch my attention. And I can't remember what was going on in AEW, but as soon as Ciampa's music hit, man, I was just ding, right there watching it. So
I like that he's feuding against someone else. He's had so much against Johnny Gargano the last several years. We got something fresh, and we don't know much about Killer Cross. Yeah. I mean, other than from the Indies and Impact and whatever, and we're going to get to see him now. We're going to see how that character unfolds.
Exactly, yeah.
Aaron Rift?
Well, first of all, we have a super chat from Psycho Jet Black. He loves to do these types of super chats. He says, New Day and the Shield were more successful than the Nexus. Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Again, the New Day and the Shield were both three very talented guys who all had ridiculous charisma. The Nexus was thrown together for something for those guys to do.
Well, and they had the whole, was it SummerSlam Cena fiasco?
Yeah.
Oh. Yes.
That did not help the Nexus's cause of getting over after that.
It's not even so much that was the one thing. It was the fact that they had that huge moment where they attacked everybody and destroyed everything and everybody, and it took the WWE less than 4 weeks to book them to oblivion. The whole rest of that year with Wade and Cena was just crap filler at best. It was scented crap as opposed to pure crap. It was terrible.
Well, that answers a super chat, Aaron. Back to you, Aaron.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned on my stream, that was the one segment where I was more interested in what was going on with NXT than AEW. And I really do feel that Cross needs to get this major push, and he's got to beat Ciampa at TakeOver. And I suggested the idea of Ciampa going to SmackDown. I know that some people are against the idea. They think he's going to get buried. Ciampa doesn't want to go. He prefers being in NXT, but I think it's time. Like, I'd love to see Ciampa versus Daniel Bryan in a feud, and then eventually maybe even Ciampa versus Strowman for the Universal Championship. Jeff, what do you think? Where do you see Ciampa going? Do you think it's time for a call-up? Like, where does he go from here, like, with this feud? How does this end?
I think both of Johnny and Tommaso have been very clear that they don't want to go to Raw and SmackDown because they've seen their black and gold brethren get wasted away when they go up to the main roster. So I would think that he'll do this feud with Cross, put Cross over, and then because he's still a relatively young guy, I think, as is Johnny. So I see him sticking around maybe as a kind of it's a stupid comparison. It makes no sense, but I'm going to throw them, kind of like the Hulk Hogan type where, you come in for, like a big match or whatever, but you're not there full time anymore because, Ciampa's faced everybody that's gone through already. Gargano has a lot of potential left because, he's turned heel before, but it was always against Tommaso. Now Gargano can feud with what will likely be the new NXT champion, which will be whoever beats Adam Cole. Because Adam Cole is a heel, and Gargano already got beat by him. So they got to get the title off of Adam, and then they put Gargano back in that spot. So there's room for both those guys to stay at NXT still, but Ciampa has to put Cross over. If Cross loses his debut feud, they might as well send him back to the Indies in a hurry.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be crazy. So we'll have to see.
But, again, just because it's NXT doesn't mean it won't happen.
That's true. And, when we talk about NXT, we got to talk about AEW, even if it's rumors. So that's our main event today. Bret Hart showed up once on AEW TV. Didn't he present the championship belt? I was kind of like, what? And I think that was after the Hall of Fame thing that he did in WWE in New York and Brooklyn when he got jumped by the fan. Sting. Would it be Steve Borden, Jeff, or would it be Sting? Like, if he did show up to do some appearances, get some paydays, we know the injury that he sustained and it probably wouldn't work, but AEW is supposed to have that WCW against WWE vibe. It's modern. It's not quite the same, but, as a fan, that's kind of what we want. Sting could make a big deal here. Like, we didn't get CM Punk. Yeah. For AEW hasn't got that one guy like you're like, holy crap. Is this just the rumor, or does this have any decent chance of happening, at least appearance-wise? Tyson's going to be on TV.
Right, Tyson will be there Saturday. So, even when they first announced AEW was a thing and it was going to be a national promotion, I would never envision Mike Tyson drifting away from his WWE fandom. Like, he has so much respect for Vince and for Hunter. I would never think, but you know what? Money talks, man. Money talks. And Tony Khan's got to spend. So as far as Sting, I honestly, and this is going to sound probably weird, but I honestly feel that Sting never really went all in on his feelings with his WWE run because he and I talked maybe 4 weeks after the last Nitro. He came into my place of work and we talked for almost a half hour, and he was adamant then. He knew Vince would never do right by him. No matter how much time would pass, no matter how much, water would, settle under that bridge, Sting would never be a truly pushed, valued, appreciated WWF superstar.
And he would have never, ever went there if Vince didn't buy WCW and have all of his history, or a majority of his history.
No, I'll tell you what it was, because I finally got to talk to him again not too long after the thing with Rollins happened. He went back, much like Bruno, much like the Warrior, because Hunter got in his ear and said, hey, what if we so-and-so. And he came back and he doesn't blame Seth. Obviously, people are so quick to crap on Seth for the buckle bomb, but Sting did what he did. He worked for Dixie, he worked for the Jarretts, and he appreciated having the opportunity to still contribute in such a positive and important. He was never going to get that with Vince, even in 2015 when they did the big thing at WrestleMania. It's like the thing at WrestleMania could have gone a million different ways, but any other way but him defeating Triple H proved his point that he had made to me 14 years prior. Like, he knew it was going to happen. So him going to work for Cody and the Bucks and AEW, I think is going to be his way of going, okay, these guys will value my contribution. So let's see
now,
what they
Jeff
do.
and Aaron, I'll come to you next. You know what I like about AEW when they use veterans like Arn Anderson, Jake Roberts? They let them be serious. They don't, like when Vince brings guys like that in there and gives them TV time, it's comical acts. It's poop jokes. It's fart jokes. So like I would like to see Sting go to AEW because I think he at the worst has some good promos and help get some of these younger guys over. Now I know you can't be the old star trying to get your last gleam of light and overshadow the younger stars, but they can still help make younger stars that you're not sure if you're sold on at least get recognized, and then they can go full force and push these younger stars. So what do you think here with these Sting?
All right, well, first of all, Keith Johnson sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Keith. He says, starting to see some things from Martha Hart's view off topic. Yeah, we could bring that up in a few minutes when we wrap this up. We can quickly go over the dark side of the ring. But I'm not sure what Sting could do in AEW. I'm not really feeling like he needs to be there, just because I think it's going to become overkill when you bring in one too many legends. You already got Jake Roberts and Arn Anderson. You've had DDP there. And I don't mind him showing up as like a one-off for a special appearance, or if the storyline calls for it, there's a good opportunity to bring him in. I'm okay with that. Maybe he could become a trainer. Maybe he could help out with some of the younger talent. But I would not bring him in and use him on a regular basis. They need to make their own homegrown stars. Sting was already in TNA, and he only did so much for the company. He's way older now, so I don't really think that he should be like a top priority as far as bringing him in. But I'm thinking we might see him. I think there's a decent chance of it happening, that he might show up and do something. Hey, maybe he'll bring back the Joker Sting. Who knows? That was a fun version of his character that has gotten overlooked in history. Now, there was a super chat here from Adrian. Interesting one here. Maybe I'll throw this to Big G and see what he thinks. Adrian with $2 says, Sting is the most overrated wrestler of all time. What do you think about that, Big G?
No, he's not. No.
Jeff, what do you think?
I'm going to not say what I want to say because I don't want to get you fired from YouTube.
Okay.
Now, we did a panel once, and I remember saying Sting, not at the level of Luger, has some being overrated, but that was because the people he was working with were such great wrestlers. It made Sting look great. Sting's a very good wrestler, but he's not. He's the type that doesn't lead the dance. But he's a great follower in the ring. But when it came to that Krogan, when it came to getting the most out of being a silent gimmick, that's a gimmick. That's not wrestling. He was top notch. That enhanced what the NWO was. In ring work, yes, I've been on the record saying he was somewhat overrated, but not like Luger. A Luger is overrated, but that's what I think. Who else wants to answer?
I think you said it right there, Virtue. His own longtime tag team partner is a million times overrated compared to him. Luger was Crockett wanted Luger to be Hogan, and it was like, no, stop.
Had the muscles.
Yeah.
He had the muscle, he had the look, and he had the brains of Sid. It's a dangerous combination.
Oh my God.
And yes, I'm a dick. No, I don't care. All right, very good.
Big G, you got to talk about Sting rumor AEW. Like Aaron said, I'd be fine with a one-off appearance. Like, it doesn't have to be like permanent, like, but something to like lead into a pay-per-view. Like, holy crap, I want to watch it. Get me to pay my $50.
Yeah, I mean, why you
piggyback off the Big G sign
on? While you guys are talking, I was thinking about it. You know, a one-off appearance would be cool. He could come he could become a manager for one certain superstar.
Darby?
One Darby Allin, to get Darby over.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine.
Doing pretty good on his own, though. They're letting him do vignettes. They need to book Darby Allin over in matches to help get Darby Allin over.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think maybe because you know how Taz is trying to help him give advice or whatnot, I could see Sting doing it a little bit more better because Sting is also the silent type, and as Darby Allin is. So, I mean, that's just the possibility that I was thinking of. But, I mean, if Sting showed up once or twice, I'd be fine with that. He doesn't need to wrestle another match.
Aaron Rift, anything else on the Super Chats? I know, or on this topic, I know you've been teasing Dark Side of the Ring stuff, but I'll send it.
Jeff, your thoughts on that Dark Side of the Ring special?
Well, I got some hot water over my my Twitterness for this, but I'll go ahead and address it. I felt very mixed after I watched the whole thing. I've wanted so bad for Owen to get that moment in the sun, to get that, hey, he's a Hall of Famer and he earned it. And if I'm not mistaken, and somebody help me out with this, I think that Martha let the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame honor him finally.
Yes.
Okay. So honestly, I'm good with that. Because I think it's unnecessary unfair to believe that we should just assume that Martha and the children would be okay with going to a Hall of Fame ceremony with the company involved, and B, that they should be allowed to honor Owen when it all comes down to it. The combined negligence of WWE and the rigging company is what took Owen Hart from his wife and his children. So I understand where she's coming from. I don't necessarily agree with the bitter critter part of it. I get losing your husband and the father of your children. That sucks. I can't even fathom, as far gone as her and I are at this point, I can't imagine Dylan losing his mother. I can't even go there in my head. That would be catastrophic, right? But I also understand that she does not want WWE to profit from his name at this point. And whether we like it or want to admit it or not, people's names on that WWE Hall of Fame marquee is what draw people in. You would not have seen me fly. Well, I would have gone because I was going to Disney anyway, but you wouldn't have seen me go into the Amway Arena in Orlando if Ric Flair was on that marquee. I wouldn't have given a shit. I wouldn't have. But because it was Ric Flair, I went. Much like the 2005 class. If Hogan's not headlining, I'm not going. If Owen Hart's name is on that marquee, that Hall of Fame is going to sell out and have people, climbing the walls to get in somehow. And Martha knows that, Vince knows that, and that's why they're just the problem.
Who wants to go next?
I'm good. I haven't watched Dark Side of the Ring since the very first episode. So
what's wrong with you, Big G?
Hey, I've been working.
I've reached my max overload on documentaries. I know they tell stories that people want to hear, whether it's dark or good. But a lot of times there's a lot of editing and a lot of narratives and a lot of one side. I know WWE is very, they should be held accountable for what happened to Owen. But like the grudge that Martha holds, he doesn't need to be in a fake Hall of Fame. Okay.
No.
But he should be. We know Vince picks it. Vince would put him in there. So I'm not mad because I just feel like, why now, Martha? Why, Dark Side of the Ring pay? Like, I know they're paying some of these people to be on these shows because Russo got a payday. But why now? Now you're doing interviews with other people. Like, I get it. You hate what happened. I don't want to get in the weeds with this because I'm going to come across like I hate Martha, and she shouldn't have the right to feel this way and the kids. But like, gosh, Owen was a strong man to have loved Martha Hart. I'm going to leave it at that. Tweet me if you want to continue this, because it could get really deep and you might get angry with a lot of things I say. And you know how to reach me on Twitter, and I'll plug it at the end of the show. But I don't want to get, it's just, even my longtime buddy, EGW Wrestling, who wrote a letter telling Martha Hart, let it up, let Vince put him in the Hall of Fame. Fans deserve it. Retracted. And I was like, what? The power of a documentary when somebody like that, who's very opinionated like him, now is seeing the Martha Hart side of things. I need more information. I'm not saying what she doesn't have validity with what she said, but like I want to see all the details on the WWE side and the rigging company and this and that. You can't change what happened. It happened. Stuntmen have died in Hollywood, right? And I know Owen wasn't a stuntman, but he could have still got hurt in a ring and died, right? It's just a weird situation, and she just seems to make it worse. I don't know. That's just my take.
Well, you also have to keep in mind something, and I talk about this, I think, with at least Aaron in private, maybe you as well, Virtue, I don't remember. Owen and Brett signed their last WWF contracts in 97. They were 3 years out, the two of them. They were done. And when Brett signed with WCW, he was going to be done with wrestling. They had 3 years. Brett talks about it in his book. We'll get through this 3 years, and we'll go home together, and we'll be done with this bullshit for good, once and for all. We'll be done with it. Within that time frame, Brett gets his head kicked off, and Owen's dead. So you can see why the Harts, took as long as they did to have Brett come back and do his Hall of Fame thing and come back and do a run and have Stu get inducted. Martha, from what I've seen, never liked the business. Like, she was the one of all the Hart wives or the peripherals that just flat out hated it. Always did, always would. And hated that, Owen couldn't be a fighter like he wanted. So I understand the grudge. I just think it's like, and again, she doesn't want to profit, the business to profit off Owen, but she has no problem making money off it herself.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's, again, follow me on Twitter if you want to.
Yeah, it's a very fine line.
The fact that her and Brett are at odds, I look deeper. I'm like, something is not right here. Like, this is absolutely insane that they're at odds.
Right.
Nuts. And Brett's the old bitter guy. Okay.
But that's
I think there's more information. Something just, I don't know. But anyway, that's my take on it.
Right. Well, Brett's been, bitter forever. So,
Bitter Brett's fun, Brett. I like bitter Brett.
I would have to agree.
Aaron Rift, any other super chats before we close it up?
Well, Psycho Jet Black just sent in $2. Thank you, Psycho. He said, Benoit and Owen will never be in the Hall of Fame, which I would say that's pretty close to 100%, especially with Benoit. Owen, never say never, but yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. And
I was willing to say that same argument, like Owen never say never, but then his own son and daughter took the same stance. I'm like, that's the end of that. Over. Done.
yeah. I mean,
be good children and listen to your mom all those years, and you'll think like her. That's okay.
Wow, Virtue with the opinionated take.
Virtue's getting salty.
All right.
So it is what it is. That's all
we got.
I know we probably will end up 5 more minutes on the show as we go around and do our plugs. This always happens. But let's start this process. So Big G, welcome back again. Finally you came back. I know you were just then starstruck by Aaron and Jeff the whole time, but that's okay. Take it away.
So you can follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_BigBallerG. NoDQ_BigBallerG 1988 on Instagram. Jeff Hilton on Facebook. That's it for me. JM, take it away for us, brother.
_Jeff Meacham and Twitter and Instagram. teespring.com/store/Jeff-Meacham-network. Blah, blah, blah. If you can say all that, God bless you. You can find, by the way, on the Jeff Meacham Network store, the official Jeff Meacham Network tapestry, which is on its way to me as we speak. So there we go. That's on the way. And you can also go to the Greg Cherry brand on Teespring at Teespring stores /Greg Cherry brand, where you can find the brand new hashtag Statboy approved t-shirt. Got to get one of those because he's keeping the count on Wrestling Trivia Challenge, and without his count, the NoDQ brand Wrestling Trivia Challenge dies. Because as we know from the shirt on the Greg Cherry brand, Jeff can count. So check that out and follow me on Instagram if you dare _Jeff Meacham and tweet with me and Virtue because that's always fun. So there you go.
It is indeed. And Big G, too, his ever-growing Twitter fan base there. I'm still trying to figure out how he's going to pass me in about 3 months. Buying those bots. Anyway, Aaron Rift, what's up?
All right, well, Ken Terminated by Google sent in a $5 super chat. He says, Jeff Meacham, thank you for answering my super chat question. I feel like Cherry and you are the only guys who remember Gary Hart or Iron Mike Sharp, R.I.P.
I didn't realize Greg even remembered Gary Hart or Iron Mike Sharp, but sure.
I remember Gary Hart from the 80s.
I mean, no. Well, no, I was saying I do. I didn't know that Greg did. If Greg does, cool.
Iron Mike Sharp was a jobber on Superstars and Challenge.
Yeah.
Iron Mike Sharp was a jobber before the word jobber was a thing, man. Jeez,
Yeah.
he was a jobber back in the
enhancement talent.
Yeah, enhancement talent. There you go. There's the word for it. Yeah.
We need to bring back that term wimps. We got to call anybody who disagrees with Virtue a wimp instead of a mark. How about that?
Snowflake.
Oh, there you go.
It's 2020, boys.
2020,
Anyway,
there you go.
do your plug.
Oh, well, we do have a couple more super chats here. So
I knew we would.
Adrian sent in a $5 super chat, says, off topic, well, I guess it's now on topic. Is Eddie Guerrero glorified because he died young? If he lived, would we still be talking about him? I don't. I say absolutely. Eddie was great. And when he died, I was shocked beyond belief.
I was shocked. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it'd be like 20 times even better. It'd be 100 times better.
Yeah, remember, he was, the weekend he passed, he was supposed to be the world champion again as a heel. Can you imagine a heel Eddie Guerrero going into WrestleMania in Hollywood and going with Ray or, whoever, Batista again? Eddie is glorified to a certain extent because he passed early, but I think he deserves it regardless.
Yeah, he had a great run. He had a great run in 10 years, a better run in 10 years than a lot of people have in 20 years. So,
yep.
We also have a super chat here from Psycho Jet Black. He says, what are your thoughts on the Revolt name controversy? So basically, the indie tag team, the Revolt, they're disputing the trademark from the Revolt, formerly known as the Revival. Jeff, what do you think about this? Do you like the name the Revolt anyways? Do you think they should change it? What are your thoughts?
Let me answer your question with a question. Did the indie team non-Revival Revolt have that name trademark? Is there documentation on that?
That I'm not sure of, actually.
And I'll tell you why I said that. I have 3 words for the indie team Revolt on trademarking and wrestling. After the bell.
Oh, yeah, well, you did not trademark it.
Exactly.
But, I mean...
if it didn't trademark it, you've got no complaint. Get over yourselves.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, they could come up with a new name, but... And
honestly, the Revival, Dash and Dawson calling themselves the Revolt... again, they're all about revolting against the E and, bucking the system. There are so many synonyms for that word. And yes, they picked Revolt because it's close to Revival, so it makes sense. This indie team, whoever they are, I appreciate the fact that they've tried to make a name brand, but if you didn't trademark it with the, federal, whatever you got to, hush. And B, so they use your name in AEW or wherever. Wham! I managed a team in 2008, 2009 that before Randy Orton brought Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase together, we were the Legacy.
Yeah.
And was it trademarked by Epic War and Gary Yap? No. Did we have a bitch when they did it? No, we didn't. So sometimes we still ran with it.
There's so many indie names across the country and across the world that you're bound to have people using the same name. I mean, it's inevitable, especially with a fairly generic term like the Revolt.
There's a reason my Twitter handle is _Jeff Meacham.
Don't care much about the Revival or Revolt. Well, there you go. And
I don't either, you know.
TGS is here. He says, do you like Cash and Dax as the names for the former Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson?
They could call them Tully 2 and Arn 2 for all I care. Those guys are solid workers. They wrestle like Arn and Tully did. Let them get in the ring and go to work, and let the fan put up a poll on AEW.com. What do you want these guys to be called? Make sure it's not trademark before you vote, and just
make sure some indie team in Oklahoma doesn't have the name already before you go with it.
Yeah. Make sure those two guys work in the local spots, and Podunk, North Dakota, don't have that name, and you're good to go.
Well, apparently these guys knew each other, so maybe that could be an argument for, hey, they knew we were using the name Revolt, and they went ahead and used it anyways. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I could see them changing the name.
Petty.
It's not like Revolt is the greatest name of all time. You know, they could probably come up with something else. I'm not really a fan of the FTR either. Like, I think they got to come up with something different.
I think that's stupid only because FTR was used against them by the Bucks. If they go to AEW, like it's stupid. That's dumb. So
just bring in Cornette and call them the Midnight Express and get it over with.
There you go.
Virtue wins the.
That'll be better than the new Midnight Express that Attitude Era tried to do.
Yeah.
They could be
we all saw how
both
Bob ended up anyway, so there you go.
Yeah, let's not start talking about Bart Gunn again. We already dedicated way too much time to Bart Gunn discussion on the NoDQ review.
I'll continue to make him. All right, Aaron, you got your NoDQ plugs? Any more super chats?
No, I think we're good. I think we're good for tonight. Just stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest. I'll be doing live coverage of AEW Double or Nothing for those of you that will not be ordering the show. So make sure you follow along with me on Saturday. And thanks for watching. We're almost at 100, so keep spreading the word. Tell a friend. Tell Bart Gunn that we love him if you find his social media. Does he even have social media? I'm not sure. But if he does, let him know that we've been talking about him. We've been keeping his name in the headlines.
Have him on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I think his Twitter handle is "My teeth are knocked out from Butterbean" is how it's laid out on Twitter. So
we would still love to have you on the show, Bart.
I agree.
All right, so that's all I got. Virtue, let's wrap it up.
All right. Well, thanks for watching NoDQ Galaxy. We will be back again next week. Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue, especially if you want to continue the discussion on the Owen Hart Dark Side of the Ring documentary. That's all I got for Big G, for Jeff Meacham, and for Aaron Rift. I am Virtue, the Troll Slayer. See you next time.